Hello, welcome to the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland Vectorworks screencasts. These screencasts have been redone this year, 2023, with the Vectorworks 2023 software. I'll leave the old playlist up, which was 2019, but new students in 2023 should use this playlist to work through the screencasts. The idea is the screencasts are here to complement the Introduction to Vectorworks course in first year, first term, and it's to allow the students to work through these screencasts at their own pace and then submit the tasks throughout for feedback. So work through the screencasts at your own pace, submit the tasks to my email, which you should know as instructed when you come across the tasks, and very importantly, don't proceed until I've responded to the email and said, okay, that's fine to proceed. Lots of students have raced through this in the past thinking that they're doing the right thing and then end up with issues later on because they've skipped things or tried to impress by going very fast. It's not about getting through these as fast as possible, it's about understanding the program. So what I need you to do is to register for your free students account online, and there's the email address, vectorworks.net. If you search for Vectorworks student account on Google, you should probably find it. You will need to register. You can put my name down or Roz's name down as your faculty member. I think it states that. And then please download the 2023 version of the software. But you don't need to download the full, all the packages. It will ask you if you want to download all sorts of things, architectural and landscape. Just download the basic content for now. It's quite a meaty program. So just take the basic. We'll only need the basics for these screencasts in first year. And then once you've done that, open the software and we should be looking at something like this. So in this screencast, all I'm going to do is to talk around the workspace. So the basic, I'm using this on a 16-inch MacBook Pro 2019. So the resolution should be better on this than it was on the previous screencasts, which was on a 27-inch Mac. So this is designed to be viewed on your own student laptops, not on phones. I wouldn't recommend doing it on the phone. It just won't show the menus. I'll click and take you through all the elements that you will need to use the software over the next all these next screencasts. So please follow them, pause them, rewind them, and ask questions. There's a Vectorworks team within the RCS, the program teams, so you can also ask questions in there and get links to other exercises and other screencasts and bits and pieces, information, links to Vectorworks talks, and all sorts of other support. So we're going to talk through the basic workspace. So what we've got here is the basic Vectorworks design space. And then I'm just going to talk through each of the palettes, and then that's all I'm going to do. One thing I do want you to check is that you have the word Spotlight in the menu here. If you don't have the word Spotlight here, one of the things we need to do is to Tools. Hopefully you can see these drop downs, Workspaces, and make sure Spotlight is selected there. By choosing that, that means that all of the drop down menus and all of the icons that I will be referring to will be in the same place on your version than it is on the one that I am demoing you. These may or may not show depending on how much you downloaded at installation. So, but Spotlight is the space where we will be working. So that was Tools, Workspaces, Spotlight, little tick there, and we'll all be good. start up here with the basic tool palette. I'm not going to do anything more than just note it. You can drag it out if you want. I can make it a little bit bigger. Well, just rearrange it. I can't make it any bigger. I wonder if I can zoom in on that. I'm not sure. This software is pretty basic. We've got a basic tool palette here, which has things like texts and lines and rectangles and circles and squiggly lines and all sorts of other pieces, scissors, tape measures, all sorts of things that I would be taking you through in the next few screencasts. So that's your basic tool palette. Most drawings start there. The selection tool here is the one that I'm using, a little arrow here. It's the thing that I'll use if I wanted to select these words here and move them about. I would be using this selection tool. So we would go back to that selection tool almost multiple times in any drawing. Attributes here are things like whether we have solid fills, colors on things, and patterns and hatches. The colors themselves, line weights, opacities, pen styles, weights, line thicknesses, whether there's arrows on the end of lines or not. So these attributes here we'll be going through shortly. So just all I'm doing is noting the names of things and the location. So we've got basic and attributes here. Tool sets, probably would have that normally down there with the basic tool palette there and attributes kind of floating around about there. Don't worry, as long as they're on the same side of the program or your working screen, then that's fine. So these tool sets here are more complicated, higher level objects. If I click on the say the lighting one there, I've got lighting devices, hanging positions, cable tools. If I click on the truss one, I've got trusses and hoists, stage lifts, bridles, things like that. There's an entertainment one with stage decks and soft goods, and then I've got building, walls, doors, things like that. 3D modeling, which is spheres, hemispheres, cones, and all sorts of things to make complicated 3D objects. Lighting here isn't lighting as in theatrical lighting, it's more the lighting for modeling, for walkthroughs and flyovers and things like that. We'll go over that. Maybe not in this series of tutorials, but you might find stuff in my other tutorials which are on the same YouTube channel, but not within this playlist. And then below that, on mine, there's other bits and pieces that we won't probably use apart from the dims and notes here, which is has things like title blocks and borders and other dimension tools, which we will get to. So note the tool sets, basic tool palette, attributes. Over here on the right hand side, I will keep my object info palette, which will give me information on any object. Anything I click, the information about it, so it knows that that is text there, it knows its position, its width, the font style. This is critical. It's got 3 tabs in here, data and render, but the shape information here is absolutely critical, and we will be using that a lot. Anything I click, the information is here. It can be as simple as a line or as complicated as a chain hoist or a lighting device or a speaker, and give me all sorts of information about power, weight, sound distribution zones with speakers, height of lifts for hoists, focus, beam angles, things for lighting devices. So it can be very, very complicated and useful, or it can be quite simple, a line just to start and end points. Again, we'll be looking at that in the next tutorial. Navigation here, we have little buttons below. We have classes, layers, sheet layers, which is all I want you to think about just now. Those words will be coming back up throughout. viewports as well. So again, don't really need to. We will be talking about, I think I talk about saved views in one of the last tutorials, but at the moment the idea about classes, layers, sheet layers and viewports, don't worry about what they are at the moment. I will go through that, just the fact that they are there. Now you might notice, so the little icon with classes and the little icon layers, up top here in this bar we also have classes and layers. I just clicked the classes thing there. So these are kind of echoes. That layers, little stack of papers there, little stack of papers on the right, they are echoes of the same thing, the same information. That says design layer 1, that says design layer 1. We only have one design layer in this drawing. That class there says none, and the class there says none. Along the top here's other layer planes, I'll go over that later. Scales, it's in Imperial at the moment. I'll show you how to change that in the next tutorial. Top plan, we can look at our drawing from all sorts of angles. At the moment it's just text, so it wouldn't really mean anything going to right isometric, apart from seeing the words written on a virtual sheet of paper lying in 3D space. And then we have all sorts of things. We've got renders over here. The little teapot there is quite interesting. It's renders. We will be going into that when we look at 3D. That is 11 minutes and probably enough, apart from noting the snap tools along the bottom. They used to be in the old 2019. One of the reasons I'm redoing this is that in 2019 version, the snap tools were a floating palette like these. I think in 20 they moved them down to be locked in the toolbar here. So snapping tools we will be going over, but that's one of the main differences and one of the reasons why I need to redo these again. Snap to grid, snap to object, snap to angle, and lots of other things along here, and then preferences or settings, snapping settings there. That's one of the big differences between 19 and the versions that came after that. I will stop talking there. Resource manager, forgot that. It's here. It might be hidden like an auto hide window. Hopefully it is. That's what it should be. And again, the resources, well, I'm not going to go into that just now, but we have all sorts of libraries in here. Entertainment, we've got audio stuff, we've got lighting, stages, stage goods, lighting accessories, audio speakers, Atlas, D&B, all sorts of other bits. If you get this Vectorworks 61 minutes have elapsed since the document was backed up, do you want to back up now? Vectorworks will ask every 15 minutes whether you want to back up. If you're doing a drawing, it's very good practice to say yes, but at the moment I'm not doing anything, so we can click the don't back up this document and no, and then it won't bother me again. So if you're just playing and you don't want to be bothered with every 15 minutes with this pop-up, then just click no and don't back up. I will definitely stop talking now, or else I'll just go on forever, and this will be a huge, long, single podcast instead of 26 small ones. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.